Kia ora, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating and honestly kind of hidden collision of economic forces. We're looking across the ditch at our neighbours in Australia to understand this incredible iceberg narrative. Above the surface, well, it's a historic, really painful cost of living squeeze that's forcing everyday people to just pinch pennies. But below the surface, completely out of sight for most of us, a multi-billion-dollar technological shift is quietly rewiring the entire future of the country's workforce. And we aren't just talking about a fun new AI app on your phone. We're talking about industrial-scale AI infrastructure and how this sudden boom literally threatens to hollow out the entry-level roles that Australian graduates rely on to kickstart their careers. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. 59.1. This number is really the foundation of our story today. It represents the National Australia Bank's Consumer Stress Index for early 2026, marking the absolute highest level of financial anxiety Aussies have faced in over a decade. I mean, according to the research, ordinary people are basically engaging in economic self-defense. They're drastically changing their financial behaviors, dumping streaming platforms, hunting for cheaper groceries, and fighting for every single dollar just to cover the rent and the power bill. Brand loyalty? Yeah, that's dead, because frankly, no one can afford it right now. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredible contrast. Because in March, the exact same month Australian consumers were desperately cutting back on their weekly groceries, the country as a whole imported a staggering $2.9 billion worth of advanced AI computing equipment. $2.9 billion. And this wasn't consumer electronics either. We're talking about massive industrial-scale AI servers, GPU clusters, and specialized chips from companies like NVIDIA. It was a single, massive drop of hardware specifically designed to train and run advanced artificial intelligence systems right there on Australian shores. To put the sheer scale of this into perspective, we have to look at the macro data. According to analysis from Westpac and official figures from the ABS, this roughly 300% surge in automatic data processing imports was so massive it literally pushed the entire nation into its first goods trade deficit since 2017. Think about that for a second. Think about all the iron ore, the coal, the agriculture, the natural gas that Australia exports to the world every single day. Well, in that month, the value of those massive physical exports was completely overshadowed by the influx of AI hardware being brought into the country. Crazy, isn't it? And bringing all that hardware onshore creates a massive physical footprint. You know, people so often think of AI as just like invisible software floating around in the cloud. But the reality is incredibly physical. It needs land, enormous amounts of water for cooling, and an absolute explosion in electricity demand. Current data center electricity usage in Australia is sitting around 5 terawatt-hours annually. But if all the proposed AI data center projects go ahead, demand is projected to skyrocket to 34 terawatt-hours. That's a massive jump, and industry leaders are warning it threatens to completely overwhelm the national grid. This is a nation-scale infrastructure build-out happening at lightning speed. Let's move to and see how this builds. Below the surface, AI versus graduate roles. So, all of this new infrastructure is being deployed for a specific reason, and it brings us to the human cost. Historically, automation meant robots replacing factory workers on an assembly line, right? But this AI hardware, it's automating cognitive work. Think about a junior staffer's typical day, compiling research summaries, preparing PowerPoint presentations, drafting uncomplicated legal briefs, or doing basic coding. These are literally the foundational tasks of the corporate world. Today, the AI systems running on those massive new data centers can execute those exact same tasks remarkably well and remarkably fast. The abstract, white-collar work young Australians were always told was completely safe, it's now directly in the crosshairs. And this shift is already rippling through specific industries. We are seeing early evidence of a real freezing of the graduate pipeline. Consulting, law firms, administration and clerical, copywriting, junior computer programming, these sectors are all facing severe automation risks. Companies are looking at these new AI capabilities and realizing, hey, we simply don't need to hire fleets of juniors, analysts, or entry-level lawyers to handle the busy work anymore. They're basically reorganizing their entire business models from the ground up. The gravity of this situation is perhaps best captured by what's happening inside the world's biggest professional services networks. Global consulting giants like PwC are aggressively pivoting their service delivery toward AI. Internal warnings to staff have been incredibly stark, reportedly stating workers who fail to adapt to artificial intelligence have no future. Let that sink in. This isn't some distant theoretical warning about the year 2050. It is a mandate being issued right now in the boardrooms of top-tier firms. You either adapt or you perish. So, the crucial point is, we're facing a massive structural dilemma. If artificial intelligence efficiently takes over all the entry-level tasks, the document drafting, the data sorting, the basic research, the bottom rung of the corporate ladder essentially disappears. How then does a graduate gain the foundational experience necessary to become the top-tier analyst, the senior partner, or the seasoned judge of tomorrow? The entire apprenticeship phase of white-collar knowledge work is fundamentally under threat. What we're seeing emerge is a distinct productivity paradox, a dynamic heavily discussed by firms like Deloitte and PwC. On one hand, AI is driving massive gains for skilled workers. Industries heavily exposed to AI are actually seeing higher revenue per employee, and there's a huge wage premium for professionals who possess strong AI literacy. But simultaneously, it creates severe vulnerability for routine tasks. It's a double-edged sword, really, boosting the overall output of the firm while rendering a significant portion of the traditional junior workforce completely unnecessary. And this brilliantly illustrates that we've seen versions of this historical pattern before. Look at every major industrial revolution, from the steam engine in the 1700s to electricity in the 1800s to computers and the internet in the 1900s. It follows the exact same playbook. Massive upfront infrastructure spending, followed by incredible productivity gains, and unavoidably, major labor disruption. But what separates the 2020s and artificial intelligence from, say, the steam engine? It's the terrifying speed of adaptation. AI isn't just a static tool, it improves itself at a uniquely rapid pace. The window for the workforce to adapt is shorter than ever before. Which brings us to the ultimate unresolved question of this Trans-Tasman economic shift. As billions are spent on infrastructure and the graduate job market fundamentally transforms, will AI create enough new work fast enough to offset the entry-level jobs it is automating away right now? Because ultimately, an economy cannot run on corporate productivity alone. People need incomes to spend in those supermarkets and to pay those soaring energy bills. It's a massive shift happening right beneath our feet. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope it gave you a clearer picture of the quiet revolution reshaping the future of work.